The transition must have been seamless because
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
she must have been one of your professors for some
That's right.
classes.
Yes. So you have the professors also who, when they guide you through your work, we find that there are a few pointers and aspects which you can trace back to the work of Zaha Hadid.
Mm.
So you are actually inculcating some of those thoughts in the work that you do. And that's when it becomes interesting, because you know that this is not just being unreal, but it's getting built somewhere by the studio of Zaha Hadid architects. So there is really that possibility to make that happen as a built project, physically manifest it as a project. And that's the exciting thing about the.
And seeing that integration of theory into practicality must have been a formative experience for your architectural career to a very large extent.
Yes.
But working under Zaha Hadid must have been even more formative in the way that you probably implement some things or a lot of things that you learned from your time with her to this day.
Mm-hmm.
What would those things be?
It's really the sheer energy in the studio. The energy is so distinct because everything has got such a high intensity, right from the initial thinking of how you engage on the project, and then the process which um, goes through the different stages of the making of the concept. And then finally, when the concept presentation is being put together, you have the entire team in the studio, and then you have consultants from outside who assist in the engineering aspect of the design. There's a structural consultants, then there are sustainability design consultants. There are various experts who come in to make the design that much more reinforced and with practicality. The designs could look really out of the world, but you need to make them buildable, and they need to be executed with very specific certain codes adhering to structure. Then they have to also meet climatic requirements, and so certain other compliances. So all this is done with so much of earnestness and energy in the concept level itself. And that energy and that process is really what uh, made me to say that, yes, if I were to open a studio, and this is what I would take as a learning from this office of Zaha Hadid. And that is exactly what I have done with since the inception of the studio in 2002.
2002. So, how many years did you work under Zaha Hadid?
I worked with her for about a year and a half.
A year and a half, and then you moved back to Bangalore
Yes.
and you started your own studio.
That's right.
Like, what was that jump like? That's a massive jump from being under someone to taking the leap into entrepreneurship and management and architecture into starting your own firm in a developing country. What was that like?
There are various challenges in a country like India where if you bring ideas, architectural concepts which are not orthodox or which are not stereotyped, they're immediately branded as expensive designs, and which may not be buildable. So that's the initial response that you get from stakeholders and clients, that this is something which is going to cost too much, and how am I going to make this money out of a project like this? So it's really the balance that you strike between being innovative, which means being non-stereotype and causing a disruption in the entire, maybe for that context of that city or that project, where it really starts to question that it's not gone with a conventional setup, but there is something different about it. But that difference has to bring in certain benefits to the client. It can't be a difference because you want it to be different, and it gives you the joy of making a project different. You need to translate that difference to the benefit of the client, and that's what we've been very articulate in doing. And our very first project, since the studio was set up, was in Bangalore, a commercial building, and this client was very excited when he saw our profile, the work that I've done at the work that I've done at Zaha Hadid. And he said that Vivek, I want a building which stands apart from any other building in the street. And this was in the central business district in Bangalore on St. Mark's Road. And we said, yes, of course, we can do that for you. And we started understanding what the design brief was and what we needed to achieve as space efficiencies, because for a client, the efficiency of space is so important because it's the income that he gets from leasing it. We can't compromise on the space efficiency. So we were very innovative with the facade. So we started seeing a facade which is not typically the glass facade that you have for commercial buildings. And we used a three-dimensional geometry to formulate the facade. And that came out very well. And that was really a path-breaking and iconic project in the city and some aspects in the country as well, because we used a rigorous 3D modeling to understand how we put together the different facets of that geometry. And we used a material from Hunter Douglas, which is a world-renowned company for cladding materials. And then, yeah, the project it just came out so well. It turned out to be with no disappointments at all. The client was happy, we were happy. He was getting good inquiries for the space to be leased. I mean, yeah, it was really a win-win.
That's really interesting, and I think what you've said there about Indian culture when it comes to unconventional things.
Yes.
I think Indian culture, even stepping away from architecture, is very close-minded to a very large extent. Right?
Yes.
Both in terms of education and general beliefs, practices, etc.
That's right.
So how do you break kind of that norm or conventional belief that architecture only has to be efficient? It shouldn't be about how it looks or how it may play out in the long run. How do you break that belief?
Oh, it wasn't easy to break that, Shivain. We really need to explain to a client on why you're innovating, and with the degree of innovation that you would do, where does he stand to benefit? Where does he stand to benefit in the long run? How does the value of the property appreciate when there is an innovation incorporated in it, a very purposeful innovation, versus a project which is very safe with the design, there is no exploration, and it just sort of fits into the crowd, has a limited shelf life. It has a limited shelf life simply because there are so many other buildings which look the same. Why would somebody want to come and lease out your space specifically, right? Why would anybody go into a building which is new, but it looks like the building adjacent to it and the building in front of it? So it also means that for a client, it's more to do with seeing how he can upsell the product in terms of more to do with the company which would lease the space would also be looking for something which is different. Right. And I think in a developing country like ours, there are multinationals, there are corporates who have seen the stereotype format for far too long.